Greetings everyone, my name is Gigi and this is Let's Build, wherein I build a Lego set timed to different media and talk about the facts concerning the topic of the build. Today's build is the Lego One Piece, the Going Merry pirate ship versus One Piece from 2005 for the Game Boy Advance. The footage I am using from this game is for science, educational, and research purposes. My content is transformative and protected under fair use. All footage is time-lapse with commentary. I apologize in advance for pronouncing names and/or places incorrectly. Spoilers ahead for some of the One Piece. You have been warned. Specifications for the Lego set. The Going Merry pirate ship is a beautiful model that is sure to captivate fans of One Piece adventures and play and display building toys. This high-quality Lego building kit makes a great gift for girls and boys aged 10 and up and creative kids with a passion for the Straw Hat Pirates. The iconic ship has several interior spaces, a crew's cabin, a kitchen, storage, and an accessory workshop. The model comes with 5 Lego One Piece minifigures. Luffy sits atop the sheep figurehead at the front of the ship, below which is a cannon. Zoro relaxes and trains on the deck. Nami controls the rudder at the rear, where her favorite tangerine trees grow on the deck. Usopp climbs the masts and keeps watch from the crow's nest. And Sanji takes pots down to the stairs to the kitchen. Includes 4 wanted posters. The Lego Builder app lets kids zoom in, rotate models in 3D, and track progress. Lego One Piece minifigures. The set comes with authentically detailed minifigures of Monkey D. Luffy, Zoro, Nami, Usopp, and Sanji. Lego boat set for young pirates. The large ship has masts, sails, a figurehead, and a rudder, and below deck features a crew's cabin, a kitchen, food and poster storage, and an accessory workshop. Pirate ship adventure gift. This Lego One Piece build and play and display set makes a great gift for anime lovers, fans of pirate ships, and the Netflix One Piece live-action show. Lego One Piece collectibles. Lego One Piece toys put the Netflix show's characters, locations, and exciting adventures into the hands of young fans. 1,376-piece model. The Going Merry ship measures over 13.5 inches high, 15.5 inches long, and 8 inches wide. The instruction booklet dives right into the build without any fanfare. One Piece is a Japanese manga series written and illustrated by Ichiro Oda. It follows the adventures of Monkey D. Luffy and his crew, the Straw Hat Pirates, as he explores the Grand Line in search of mythical treasure known as the One Piece, to become the next king of the pirates. The manga has been serialized in Shueisha's Shonen Manga magazine, Weekly Shonen Jump, since July 1997, with its chapters compiled in 112 tankobon volumes as of July 2025. It was licensed for an English language release in North America and the United Kingdom by Viz Media, and in Australia by Madman Entertainment. Becoming a media franchise, it has been adapted into a festival film by Production IG and an anime series by Toei Animation, which premiered October 1999. Additionally, Toei has developed 14 animated feature films and 1 original video animation, or OVA. Several companies have developed various types of merchandising and media, such as trading card games and video games. Netflix released a live-action TV series adaptation in 2023. One Piece has received praise for its storytelling, expansive world-building, art, characterization, and humor. It is regarded by critics and readers as one of the greatest manga series of all time. By August 2022, it had over 516.6 million copies in circulation worldwide, making it the best-selling manga series ever and the best-selling comic series in volume format. It holds various publishing records, including the highest initial print run for any book in Japan. In 2015 and 2022, it set the Guinness World Records for most copies published for the same book series by a single author. It was the best-selling manga for 11 consecutive years and remains the only series with over 3 million initial prints for over 10 years, as well as the only one with every of its over 100 published tankobon volumes selling over 1 million copies. Since 2008, it has consistently ranked first in Oricon's weekly comic chart. Synopsis: the setting. One Piece is set on the Blue Planet, populated by humans and other races such as dwarves, giants, merfolk, fishmen, long-limbed tribes, long-necked people known as the Snake-neck tribe, and animal people known as minks. The Blue Planet is governed by an authoritarian intercontinental organization known as the World Government, consisting of dozens of member countries. The Navy is the military branch of the World Government that protects the known seas from pirates and other criminals. Cypher Pol acts as the World Government's secret police. While pirates are a major opponents of the government, the ones who challenge their rule are the Revolutionary Army, who seek to overthrow them. The central tension of the series pits the world government and their forces against the pirates. The series regularly emphasizes moral ambiguity over the label pirate, which includes morally bankrupt individuals motivated by selfish gains, but also any individuals who do not submit to the world government's authoritarian and often morally ambiguous rule. The One Piece world also has supernatural objects such as devil fruits, which are mysterious fruits that grant whoever eats them transformative powers at the cost of becoming weakened in bodies of water, resulting in them losing the ability to swim. Another supernatural power is Heiki, which grants its users enhanced observation and fighting abilities based on their willpower, as it is one of the only effective methods of inflicting bodily harm on certain devil fruit users. The surface of the Blue Planet mainly consists of the Blue Sea, two vast oceans divided by a massive continental mountain range called the Red Line. Within the oceans is the second global phenomenon known as the Grand Line, in which the sea that runs perpendicular to the Red Line and is bounded by the Calm Belt, strips of calm ocean infested with huge ship-eating monsters known as Sea Kings. These geographical barriers divide the world into 4 seas: North Blue, East Blue, West Blue, and South Blue. Passage between the 4 seas and the Grand Line is therefore difficult. Unique and mystical features enable transport between the seas, such as the use of the sea prism stone employed by government ships to mask their presence as they traverse the Calm Belt, or the reverse mountain, where water from the 4 seas flows uphill before merging into a rapidly flowing and dangerous canal that enters the Grand Line. The Grand Line itself is split into 2 separate halves, with the Red Line between being Paradise and the New World. Premise: the series focuses on Monkey D. Luffy, a young man made of rubber after unintentionally eating the gum-gum fruit, who sets off on a journey from the East Blue Sea to find the deceased king of the pirates, Gold D. Rogers' ultimate treasure known as the One Piece, and take over his prior title. Luffy sets sail as captain of the Straw Hat Pirates and is joined by Rorona Zoro, a swordsman and former bounty hunter, Nami, a money-obsessed thief and navigator, Usopp, a sniper and compulsive liar, and Sanji, an amorous but chivalrous cook. They acquire a ship, the Going Merry, later replaced by the Thousand Sunny, and engage in confrontations with notorious pirates. As Luffy and his crew set out on their adventures, others join the crew later in the series, including Tony Tony Chopper, an anthropomorphic reindeer doctor, Nico Robin, an archaeologist and former Baroque Works assassin, Frankie, a cyborg shipwright, Brooke, a skeleton musician and swordsman, and Jimbei, a whale shark type fishman and former member of the Seven Warlords of the Sea, who becomes their helmsman. Together, they encounter other pirates, bounty hunters, criminal organizations, revolutionaries, secret agents, scientists, soldiers of the morally ambiguous world government, and various other friends and foes as they sail the seas in pursuit of their dreams. Production. Ichiro Oda's interest in pirates began in his childhood, watching the animated series Vicky the Viking, which made him want to draw a manga series revolving around pirates. The reading of pirate biographies influenced Oda to incorporate the characteristics of real-life pirates into many of the characters of One Piece. For example, the character Marshall D. Teach is based on and named after the historical pirate Edward Blackbeard Teach. Apart from the history of piracy, Oda's biggest influence is Akira Toriyama and his series Dragon Ball, which is one of his favorite manga. While working as an assistant to Nobuhiro Watsuki, Oda began writing One Piece in 1996. It started as 2 one-shot stories entitled Romance Dawn, which would later be used as the title for One Piece's first chapter and volume. They both featured the character of Luffy and included elements that would appear later in the main series. The first of these short stories was published in August 1996 in Shueisha's Akamaru Jump and reprinted in 2002 in the One Piece Red guidebook. The second was published in the 41st issue of Weekly Shonen Jump in September 1996 and reprinted in 1998 in Oda's short story collection, Wanted. As an interview with TBS, Takanori Asada, the original editor of One Piece, revealed that the manga was rejected by Weekly Shonen Jump 3 times before they agreed to publish the series. Kazuhiko Torishima, then the magazine's editor-in-chief, explained that they debated for 2 hours on whether or not to serialize One Piece. Although acknowledging that it had potential, he was one of those against the work because it was incomplete. Torishima ultimately approved serialization due to Asada being so annoyingly earnest that another editor suggested both Oda and Asada would be crushed if it was rejected at that time. Development. Oda's primary inspiration for the concept of devil fruits was Doraemon. The fruit's abilities and uses reflect Oda's daily life and his personal fantasies, similar to that of Doraemon's gadgets, such as the Gum Gum fruit being inspired by Oda's laziness. When designing the outward appearance of the devil fruits, Oda would think of something that would fulfill a human desire. He added that he does not see why he would draw a devil fruit unless the fruit's appearance would entice one to eat it. The names of many special attacks, as well as other concepts in the manga, consist of a form of punning in which phrases written in kanji are paired with an idiosyncratic reading. The names of some characters' techniques are often mixed with other languages, and the names of several of Zoro's sword techniques are designed as jokes. They look fearsome when read by sight, but sound like kinds of foods when read out loud. For example, Zoro's signature move is the onigari, which is written as demon cut, but is pronounced the same as rice ball in Japanese. Isaku Inoue An animation director at Toei Animation noted that these kanji readings were not used in the anime series since they might have cut down the laughs by about half. Nevertheless, Konosuke Uda, fellow director, said that he believes that the creators made the anime pretty close to the manga. One Piece is a fantasy adventure television series developed by Matt Owens and Steven Maeda for Netflix. This series is a live-action adaptation of the 1997 manga series by Ichiro Oda and serves as a creative consultant for the show. It is produced by Kaji Productions and Shueisha, who also publishes the manga. The series stars an ensemble cast including Inaki Godoy, Emily Rudd, Mackinu, Jacob Romero Gibson, and Taz Skylar as members of the Straw Hat Pirates. The first season was released on Netflix August 31st, 2023, receiving positive reviews from critics and fans alike, praising the performances, writing, visual effects, and general fidelity of the source material. Several outlets have characterized the production as one of the best live-action adaptations of a manga or anime series. One Piece was the most watched Netflix show among individual series seasons during the second half of 2023. 2 weeks after its release, Netflix renewed the series for a second season, which began filming June of 2024. The second season is scheduled to premiere in 2026. In August of 2025, Netflix renewed the series for a third season ahead of the second season's premiere. Premise: the series follows the adventures of the Straw Hat Pirates as they pursue their individual goals together and seek the One Piece, a legendary treasure found and hidden by the former King of Pirates, Gold Roger. Production: in July 2017, Weekly Shonen Jump editor-in-chief Hiroyuki Nakano announced that Tomorrow Studios, a partnership between Marty Adelstein and ITV Studios, and Shueisha, would commence production of an American live-action television adaptation of Ichiro Oda's One Piece manga series as part of the series' 20th anniversary celebrations. Oda would serve as executive producer for the series alongside Tomorrow Studios' CEO Adelstein and Becky Clements. The series would reportedly begin with the East Blue Saga. Adelstein also said the production cost could set new records. In January of 2020, Oda revealed that Netflix had ordered a first season initially consisting of 10 episodes. In May of 2020, producer Marty Adelstein revealed that the series was originally set to begin filming in Cape Town at Cape Town Film Studios sometime around August, but had been delayed to around September due to the COVID-19 pandemic. He also revealed that, during the same interview, all 10 scripts had been written for the series, and they were set to begin casting sometime in June. However, executive producer and writer Matt Owens stated in September of 2020 that casting had not yet commenced. In March of 2021, production started up again with showrunner Steven Maeda revealing that the series' codename is Project Roger. In September 2021, the series revealed its first look at the logo for the series. That same month, it was reported that Mark Jobst will direct the pilot episode of the series. He was approached to direct the pilot by Netflix executives due to their positive relationship after Jobst helmed episodes for the Netflix series such as Daredevil, Luke Cage, and The Witcher. Jobst agreed to work on One Piece due to the script's optimistic tone. In February of 2022, it was announced that Arishu Kashiwagi would be the executive director and designer for the show's brand identity, where she will be creating and designing logo and title sequences, and etc. In March 2022, alongside the release of additional casting announcements, it was said that head writer and executive producer Matt Owens would serve as co-showrunner alongside Maeda. In June 2022, Emma Sullivan was revealed to have directed episodes of the series. On September 7th, 2023, Tomorrow Studios CEO Marty Adelstein revealed that the scripts for the second season are ready, but filming could not begin until the SAG-AFTRA strike was resolved. Tomorrow Studios president Becky Clements stated that once they began filming, they expect the season would premiere approximately 12 to 18 months later. Netflix did not formally announce that the series was renewed for a second season until September 14th. Clemens commented that they've had thorough conversations on the second season with Netflix. Shueisha and Oda had less extensive conversations on the seasons 3 to 6. Adelstein and Clemens commented that with over 1,080 manga chapters, there is at least 12 seasons of materials, so just 6 seasons would only cover half the total manga chapters. On April 23, 2024, Joe Trax joined the second season as writer, executive producer, and co-showrunner alongside Owen, who is returning as co-showrunner. In February of 2025, the Writers Guild of America West website listed a third season of One Piece as a 2025 to 2026 production, with Matt Owens and Joseph E. Trax returning as showrunners and executive producers. However, Owen departed the series in March of 25 to focus on his mental health, with Trax remaining to oversee post-production on Season 2. The same day, it was reported that a third season had not yet been greenlit, though Owens' departure was not expected to affect any prospects of one being developed. A third season was officially announced August 2025, with series writer Ian Stokes serving as co-showrunner alongside Trax. Changes from the manga. There were a couple of things that took some persuading. If there was something that Oda-san was really unhappy with, we found a way to change it. But there were some things that we tried and got into the show that initially he was a little gun-shy about. One of those was that we've structurally moved a couple of things up that don't happen until much later chapters. Steve Maeda from September of 23 in an interview from Screen Rant. In a July 23 open letter, Oda stated that there were numerous scenes he felt weren't good enough to put into the world, so the film crew reshot them. Oda also felt that some of Luffy's lines did not feel like the character on paper. However, he changed his opinion after seeing Godoy's performance of them. In an interview with the New York Times, Oda highlighted that the live-action show has more dialogue than the manga, as the latter needs more space for illustrations. When asked if he was worried about the One Piece adaptation, given that other similar adaptations had been unsuccessful, Oda said, "Thankfully, Netflix agreed that they wouldn't go out with the show until I agreed it was satisfactory. I read the scripts, gave notes, and acted as a guard dog to ensure the material was being adapted in the correct way." Costume designer Diana Cilliers was directly influenced by Oda's Color Walk compendiums when creating the show's design. She made small changes to the original designs to either spice up some scenes with variation or to adjust due to safety concerns when filming in live action. The adaptation made several structural changes with Oda's approval, such as focusing on Garp and revealing his connection to Luffy much earlier, as well as moving Arlong's introduction up and swapping him with Don Craig's storyline. Maeda commented that they wanted to make Arlong the season's big bad, and by introducing him at the Bartai, they were able to ramp up toward the two last episodes. He also stated that they wanted Garp as a more present character, along with the immediate marine pursuit of the Straw Hats crew, to keep the stakes up and let it feel like it wasn't just a fun adventure where we were meeting some different antagonists and different villains and pirates, but there was an actual kind of organized presence and fearsome presence that was behind Luffy and pursuing. Polygon highlighted that increased focus on the Marines means Kobe goes from being a side character to a supporting one immediately, and changes the framing of the Marines. The Going Merry. The Going Merry was a full-sized ship owned by the Straw Hat Pirates, a caravel that served as their main transportation through the East Blue and the Grand Line up until Water 7. It was often affectionately referred to simply as Mary by the crew. Originally designed by Kaya's servant Mary, it was gifted to the Straw Hats for defending Syrup Village against the Black Cat pirates. Over time, it came to be loved by the crew as a home and as a friend, so much so that she eventually developed a life of her own and became a genuine crew member. Unfortunately, the Going Merry took an inordinate amount of damage during her lifetime, being blown up, impaled, sliced up multiple times, and partially eaten by Wapol. Eventually, the Merry could no longer continue, and after helping the Straw Hats escape Enies Lobby, it received a Viking funeral. After destruction, the Merry was succeeded by the Thousand Sunny, a ship specially built by Frankie and the Galley-La Company to maintain the soul of its predecessor. Ship design and appearance. The Going Merry was a medium-sized caravel with a sheep-themed appearance, with woody brown tones and white wooden details that curled up to simulate a sheep's wool. He had a jib and a central steer rudder, but it was considerably smaller and simpler than seen on most ships in the series. The Going Merry had two masts, one containing a simple square sail bearing the Straw Hat Pirates' Jolly Roger, with a platform at the top that allowed a wide view of the sea, and the other containing a triangular sail with red and white stripes. Both masts bore flags bearing the Jolly Roger of the crew and several ropes tied to its support that were attached to the deck. The deck contained several barrels containing supplies, a wooden floor, and white painted handrails. The anchor is located at the front, near the figurehead, and attached to the handrail. At the back was a cabin where the kitchen was located. The ship's armaments consisted of 4 cannons, one in the bow pointing forward, one in the stern, and 2 pointing to either side. They were rarely used, as the Straw Hat Pirates usually preferred to run away or engage in hand-to-hand combat. After the Arlong Park arc, the Going Merry gained 3 tangerine trees from Belle Miere's orchard, a memento of Nami's home. As the crew traveled through the first half of the Grand Line, the ship received more and more damage and gained several metal patches to hold her together at places that could not be nailed back together. Prominent examples are Mary's figurehead and the mast, which was torn off several times, and its deck, which showed various damages such as loose wooden boards. Several spots on the guardrail were damaged and missing, leading to the crew to patch them up with wood boards, which was done rather crudely due to their lack of experience in carpentry. By the time it reached Water 7, the keel was damaged, which was considered to be irreparable in the long run, thus dooming Mary. In the Skypiea arc, the body of the ship had wings, and the sheep figurehead was dressed as a chicken. Despite the incredible amount of damage the ship accumulated over its travel through the Grand Line, it had a miraculous resilience in that when Kaku released it to drop down a waterfall, it did not smash apart, but instead landed on its side, undamaged from the fall aside from the mast snapping. With Iceberg's experience in patching it up to extend the limited time it had, the Going Mary was able to sail through the treacherous storm of the Aqua Laguna, all the way to Amy's lobby and back before finally succumbing to its limits. Despite this, Mary was an extremely obsolete project even before the events of the East Blue, and according to the Galley Law boatswains, it was dangerous for the Straw Hats to continue sailing on her due to it being a caravel, a class of ships that was considered unsuitable for this type of adventures despite its high mobility. In Volume 11 of the manga, Oda presented various schematics and explanations of each part of the ship. These included everything from Mary's figurehead to the kitchen. The meeting room, lounge, and helm. This is the room with the most functions of the entire ship. It serves as the meeting room, lounge, kitchen, and helm. Here, the whole crew can do a number of things. Temporarily, Usopp used this room for his Usopp's workshop. Unlike other pirate ships, the Going Mary did not have a rudder, and its steering was controlled by a steering pole located in this room. It has a sheep's head similar to the one used for the ship's figurehead. By tilting the pole left or right, the rudder at the stern will move in that direction. Men's room. The men's room of the Going Mary is located below deck of the ship right below the mast. It is quite large and untidy. This room is normally crowded due to the fact that it is shared by Luffy, Zoro, Usopp, Chopper, and Sanji to sleep. It is accessed through a hatch next to the mast. There are a total of 5 hammocks located here to sleep on. There is an emergency exit that connects to the women's room in case something should happen. It has a laundry set in the corner and each guy responsible for their own laundry. Storage room and cannon deck. A storage room and a cannon deck are located under the lounge of the Going Mary. This is where the crew keeps all their cargo, such as their beer barrels, water barrels, rations, and treasure boxes in storage. Any treasure that Nami cannot keep in the women's quarters is kept here as well. The room also houses 2 cannons facing each side of the ship. The bathroom and the women's quarters can be accessed from here. Some towels can be found next to the bathroom's entrance for when one finishes taking a bath. The hatch going down to the women's quarters has a latch to keep out prying eyes. The steering shaft that is used to steer the ship can also be seen located above this room. The women's room, or women's quarters. The women's room of the Going Mary is located under the storage and cannon deck. This is where Nami and Nico Robin, and for a time Vivi, usually sleep. It was originally designed by Mary for Kaya's use, resulting in its beautiful and well-decorated design. The room is accessed through a hatch that leads to the room above. This hatch has a lock. There is an emergency exit that connects to the men's room located here in case something happens. This hatch, however, is not normally used and is usually locked. After the Arlo Park arc, a bar was added here by a carpenter from Kakoyashi Terusan. Cannon deck and anchor room. A cannon deck can be found below the front deck of the Going Mary. It also serves as the room where the anchor is stored. Various weapons, such as swords, can be stored here. It also contains giant oars and life preservers for when called for. The cannon here was notably used to fire at Laboon before the Going Merry rammed into him and broke her figurehead. The bathroom. The bathroom of the Going Merry is located below deck, next to the rudder of the ship. It is accessed through a door leading to the storage room. This door had curtains for privacy. The bathroom features a shower, a bathtub, a sink, and a toilet. When Robin was frozen by Aokiji, the bathtub was used by Chopper and Usopp to thaw her out. The water in the bathroom is drawn up by a special machine located underneath the stairs on the top deck. There used to be 2 of these machines, but Luffy broke one. Care must be taken after using a shower. After cleaning themselves, the crew must make sure to thoroughly clean the bathroom with a rubber wiper in order to prevent the ship from being weakened by moisture. Luffy's favorite seat. The figurehead of the Going Merry is a sheep. This is where Luffy likes to sit most of the time while sailing. Why he likes to sit there, considering his inability to swim, is a complete mystery. When the figurehead was temporarily broken upon impact with Laboon, Luffy expressed how mad he was and attacked the whale. The figurehead is also found on the top of the ship's steering pole in the main room. This design is also used for the figurehead of the Mini Merry too. Throughout the series, the figurehead would sometimes show signs of expressions like a regular person. These have ranged from comical to sad. Nami Mikan trees. After the Arlong Park arc, 3 Mikan trees from Belmiere's Grove were added to the top of the Going Merry. The fruits they bear are satsumas, but are usually translated as tangerines or oranges. Nami treats them with care as they are mementos from Belmiere. They provide the crew with vitamin C as well as serve as decorations for the ship. Aside from Nami taking care of them, Sanji also protects these trees from those who might otherwise harm them or steal the fruit. After Luffy and Usopp's battle in Water 7, these trees were moved to the hotel room where the Straw Hats were. They were luckily found by the Galley La shipwrights and moved to a safer location before the Aqua Laguna hit. They, along with the rest of the Straw Hats' belongings, now reside on the Thousand Sunny. Adaptation differences. Anime differences. While the manga, in both volume covers and color spreads, consistently depicted the Going Merry with a conservative brown color scheme, the anime gave a solid white color to much of its trim and, most prominently, the sheep figurehead. The latter design has been followed by most, if not all, of the series' merchandise and promotional materials. In the manga, the Going Merry had been accumulating damage on her voyage in the Grand Line, and the most notable damage happening with the Straw Hat Pirates' encounter with Laboon, where the figurehead breaks and Luffy tears off one of the masts to use as a weapon. Lapo, an entire part of the ship's side, gets eaten by him, and later taking heavier damage while escaping from the Marines during the Straw Hats' departure from Arabasta. Several massive iron harpoons pierced the ship. In the anime, this damage is more or less removed unexpectedly, and they sustain most of it from their adventures in the Rainbow Mist, when the ship is catapulted out of the ape's concert, tearing apart from the shockwaves it endures. In the live-action series, because Merry is killed by Kuro, unlike in the manga, the Going Merry is named by Luffy in honor of Merry. The figurehead of this ship is also of a more realistic sheep's head. One Piece for the Game Boy Advance is an action game released exclusively for the North American handheld market. It loosely adapts the entire East Blue saga, chronicling the adventures of the first 5 Straw Hat Pirates and their ultimate voyage for the Grand Line. It was developed by Bimps Corporation, published by Bandai, and released in the United States in September of 2005. It was made in tandem with the 4Kids anime. The game uses many of the same naming conventions. Gameplay. The game is a conventional side-scrolling beat-em-up featuring Luffy as the sole playable character against a variety of enemies. Luffy begins with several of his trademark techniques, both short and long range. As the game progresses, several more can be unlocked to supplement both combat and exploration. In addition to standard life bar, tied to a finite number of lives, Luffy carries a multi-tier power bar to fuel his stronger attacks. This bar is recharged whenever Luffy successfully hits an enemy. Different attacks supply different amounts of charge. Items. Luffy may encounter a variety of helpful items throughout the game. These include an apple that restores a small amount of health, rice balls, which restore larger amounts of health, drumstick restores full life, a Jolly Roger grants 1 tier to the technique bar, a Luffy head grants an extra life, a fist grants 15 seconds of invincibility, a bomb can be thrown and damage enemies or break otherwise unbreakable barriers. Items may be found out in the open or in breakable crates. Crewmates. While the other Straw Hat Pirates are not playable, they can conditionally be accessed as support characters for Luffy. Each can be summoned to perform one of 2 special techniques. Zoro charges enemies in a straight line or strikes them with a tornado. Nami steals 1 item from an enemy or strikes all visible enemies with lightning. Usopp stuns enemies with rotten eggs or strikes them with explosives. And Sanji, who delivers a series of kicks or delivers a roast that restores full health. Summoning crewmates will deplete the power bar, in effect substituting their special techniques for Luffy's own. Game modes. Stories. In Stories mode, featuring 2 difficulty settings, adapts the East Blue Saga into 6 levels. Each level consists of 3 stages. A platform stage focused on exploration where Luffy must navigate numerous paths and enemies to reach a Jolly Roger checkpoint. A hybrid stage where Luffy must navigate numerous paths and enemies to reach and defeat a boss character. And a versus stage, free of exploration, where Luffy must defeat the level's main boss. In addition to ordinary enemies and bosses, levels may contain 1 or more mini-boss enemies that typically retreat when struck. Defeating them is strictly optional, but often provides unique bonuses. Each level also contains several stationary characters that produce dialogue when approached. These may also enable various bonuses. Once a stage is cleared, the overall score, measured in belly to represent Luffy's growing bounty, is tallied, based on what and how many enemies were defeated. The stage may then be replayed by any number of times. Following the canon storyline, each level, except for the last, ends with a new Straw Hat pirate joining Luffy, building a party to be used in coming levels. Non-versus stages will begin with Luffy's available crewmates wandering off ahead. To use them, Luffy must find them one by one and restore them to his party. Versus stages will begin with all crewmates gathered in the last completed stage. Levels are bridged by the Ship Battle Royale minigame, which tasks Luffy with defeating a set number of enemies aboard the Mary within 60 seconds. If successful, Luffy will earn a number of extra lives based on how quickly he finished. Minigames. Clearing all 6 levels of the story mode on either difficulty will unlock minigames mode, featuring a high-scoring version of the ship battle royale. In this mode, the game has no time limit and infinite enemies. The only objective is to defeat as many as possible. 3 difficulty settings are available. Easy, with ordinary pirates as enemies, normal, with Navy recruits as enemies, and hard, with fishmen as enemies. Boss battles. Finding all 50 coins hidden throughout the stories mode will unlock the boss battles, where Luffy must fight all 12 mandatory bosses back to back. No continue options are available. Losing on any stage will immediately end the challenge. 3 difficulty settings available. Easy, with the full crew at hand, enemies at minimal power and full health between battles. Normal, full crew at hand, enemies at standard power, and only 90% health restored between battles. Or hard, with no crew at hand, enemies at max power, and 80% health restored between the battles. 50 collectibles. Bonus features. 50 collectibles referencing various items and oddities from the series can be found throughout Stories mode. Some are automatically awarded for clearing a level. Others can only be gained with specific character interactions or scores. Most collectibles have no effect on gameplay. A notable exception is the treasure key, which allows Luffy to open the many treasure chests, a common source of coins, scattered throughout Stories mode. Each level also contains 1 miniature treasure chest. These cannot be opened, but become collectible once Gaimon, hidden in Syrup Village level, has been spoken to. Bringing all 6 chests to Gaimon will unlock the sound test, which contains the game's entire soundtrack. This game was very fun to play, and I enjoy how colorful it was. I only recently started watching the anime again, as I like to binge watch shows when I can. I also liked all the little details in the Lego build, with 2 small gripes. There are 4 wanted posters included that are randomly pulled from a selection of 8 different characters. You could get Monkey D. Luffy, Dracul Mihawk, Buggy, Gold Roger, Elvita, Kuro, Don Craig, or Arlong. I received 3 Buggy and 1 Dracul Mihawk poster. When checking some of the review comments, I also had the same problem as some others, with the window screens kind of falling out, as if they were made slightly smaller than the frames they were supposed to click into. Total build time, 3 hours, 20 minutes, 35 seconds. Which means you could watch the first 3 episodes and 20 minutes of the 4th episode of the Netflix series. Let me know what you think in the comments section below. Remember to like, subscribe, share, ring that bell, all the things for the YouTubes. Thank you.